The Prime Minister of Sudan may need to leave a few minutes early, so I'm going to ask for a couple of questions that are directed specifically to the Prime Minister first, and then we'll move to questions directed to the panel as a whole. And can I ask that you introduce yourselves when I call on you, in case we don't know who you are, and say your affiliation as well, please. Yes.
Hello, I'm Mark Nelson from the Center for International Media Assistance at the National Endowment for Democracy.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure the mic is on just yet.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
My name is Mark Nelson. I'm the director of the Center for International Media Assistance at the National Endowment for Democracy in Washington. I have a question for the Prime Minister. Do you feel like you're getting the kind of support you need for the legal reforms and changes that your country needs to make? One of the things that we noticed in looking at the support for media development across the world is that international donors who put together $147 billion a year for development only give about 0.3% of that for media development. So out of that $147 billion, there's only about $500 million going to the changes that countries like yours need to make. Do you think we're doing enough, and do you think we can get more of the funding that goes to development to be dedicated to media issues and to media reforms that are needed in countries like yours?
Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and answer? Are there any other, can we collect any other questions specifically directed to the Prime Minister and then give him a chance to respond? Yes.
Hello. Sorry. My name is Jamie Angus. I'm the director of the BBC World Service Group. And I just welcomed what the Prime Minister said about reinforcing broadcasting rights in Sudan. And Sudan have entered into dialogue about restoring the BBC World Service's FM broadcasts in the country, which have been missing for a number of years. And I just wanted to welcome that and ask the Prime Minister to confirm his commitment to continuing to expand the rights of trusted international broadcasters, including the BBC, to operate in Sudan, not least for the benefit of the Sudanese population, but also because it makes his country a beacon for so many other countries in the region, and that we would continue to support that. Thank you.
Prime Minister, could I ask you to respond, please?
Thank you very much. And let me first apologize I won't be able to be with you for the entire period. You know, this General Assembly is full of bilaterals, commitments, and meetings and all that. On the first question from Mark on the support for legal reform and particularly for the media part of it, you are absolutely right. There's very little resources going into supporting journalists and media freedom and all that. And I think if we are to get that media which is free and equipped and all that, we need to change this mentality and focus. Normally, aid assistance goes to formal structures, maybe the judiciary, others, which is very important, but to the complete neglect of the media, which is left to its own. And the paradox is, in the current climate of cyber space, the electronic media and all that, journalism as we've known it is really under attack and seriously underfunded, under-resourced and all this. So I'm sure we need to work on this. And that can only happen through building an alliance. All of us, society, public opinion at large in the West, to revisit the priorities of the aid business and how it works. So I think we need that orientation, and I think this campaign should take on board some of this agenda and put it firm in the work of the campaign, Amal. On the issue, Jeremy from the BBC, yes, I can assure you, BBC, of course, you know, it's back. I grew up in Sudan in the 60s and the 70s, where the BBC radio was probably the only source of international information for people. And the paradox, years after that, BBC was prohibited from broadcasting from Sudan and people were not having access to that. Today we restored it. But more than that, another news on this, we have also restored the Radio Monte Carlo, which was also banned from Sudan for so many years. So we are very determined to create an environment that is open and allow journalists unfettered access to information, but also to reporting anywhere. This is actually, we are not giving them any kind of privilege. It is good for our people. Free society, free people can only be productive, can be useful in their own life, but also for society. So I'm doing it precisely because of that. Even another one, I'm sure you know that Al Jazeera was banned for a short period. They are back now. So this is something that we feel very strongly about, and we will definitely uphold this. But Amal, if I may just make one or two remarks as a conclusion, then I can leave you. I think from what I heard and from what we lived through, we know that democracy worldwide is under attack. And it is up to us to defend it. But we know so well the beauty of democracy has the ability of correcting itself. With whatever challenges, and maybe it can get messy, and I'm not seeing that Sudan will suddenly, because of this change, will rise and become a full-fledged democracy the following day. It's a messy process, but we are prepared to go through it, because it is the only way that assures ourselves and our people that this is the way we can have a society that at ease with itself and peaceful and all that. I think we know also democracy is an unfinished business. There is no finished model that you could just import it. I wish there is one. You just take it out of a paper and then unfold it. Societies has to rise and fall in this process, and we are happy to take that journey with all its challenges and problems. We wish and we hope, and I'm sure our friends and partners could help us with this. Not only resources, but also sharing of experiences, just an experience, and how this thing can be inspiring. Training of young journalists and seeing the beauty of working in an open environment. But to conclude, I would just like to reiterate my earlier opening remarks that in a new Sudan, never again we will jail journalists. Thank you so much, and wish to see you in Sudan. Come and report from our society there, our failures and our successes. Thank you very much.